the Ticats Audio Network. This is the CFL This Week with Bubba O'Neil.
This is the CFL This Week on the Ticats Audio Network. I'm Bubba O'Neil. You know what? This week we have traded our roundtable format for a special one-on-one with the top dog of the Canadian Football League. Commissioner Randy Ambrosie, always appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Bubba, great to be with you.
You know, Randy, a Grey Cup champion has been crowned. Few of us in Hamilton are happy about the winner. Let's be honest here. But look at the past year, and I'll ask you this, your three proudest moments, regarding the 2022 season.
Well, first of all, I'd say, Bubba, there's a lot more than three moments that I'm proud of. I think we had a remarkable year. There's so many people to thank, to the performance of our coaches, our players, the work that was done at the league. Look, getting the collective bargaining agreement done, and while there was a little bit of turbulence, he's so proud of the Players Association, and for our bargaining committee to find a way to a long-term partnership with the PA. That is something I'm especially proud of, because that sets us on a path now to learn how to be good partners with each other, as opposed to constantly being in a almost a continuous cycle of bargaining. That's a really big deal, and I think that's one that's going to bode well for the future. I look at the on-field performance, as I mentioned, how great it was. I think the product review, which gave rise to some changes that resulted in more offense, more first downs, fewer 2-and-outs, more scoring. Our games were exciting. 60% of our games ended, were decided in the last 3 minutes. Our product is alive and well, and our goal was to be the funnest, fastest, most entertaining brand of football in the world. And I think we took a big step forward this year. I'm really, really proud of that. And then, just coming off of Grey Cup, and, I'm so proud of what we experienced in Regina. The hospitality, 1,150 volunteers, all of whom wanted us all to experience prairie hospitality, and you were greeted with smiles everywhere. And people were just excited to be at Grey Cup. And then, of course, that outcome. I've never seen a game that had 2 field goals blocked in my life, and certainly not 2 blocked in the last 5 minutes of the game. But that outcome for us was so positive. So those are just a few of the things that I think about as being especially proud moments.
You're right. There was a certain amount of positivity, especially coming off the shortened season, the lost season for COVID. I think really it seemed like there was gains in every single market, and certainly a certain amount of a buzz, I thought, for each team at certain points of the season. So in response to that, let me throw this to you. What keeps Randy Ambrosie up at nighttime now?
Well, Bob, I've actually been giving thought to that question, and I think the answer is, I believe we have a remarkably good strategy to grow our league and to take that next big step in our future towards the kind of future we all want. I think what keeps me up is just making sure we're focused now. So it's about almost blocking out the new idea fairy. Like, the new idea fairy is no longer welcome, and we need to focus on what's in front of us today. It's now entirely about execution of our existing plan. It's about partnering with all 9 teams to make sure that we're working together in harmony, and that we have what I might call horizontal accountability to each other, that we're all growing the game together and working together. I think there's so much upside for the league now that the future is ours for the taking. And what keeps me up at night is my responsibility and the opportunity that we share to make sure that we execute on this plan.
And you talk about growth of the league, and of course, there's no bigger area to grow the game than on television. I think that goes for all sports. I'm hearing a lot of talk about the American experience on, ESPN, and I know you talked about it. I think it's 2 years from now, there's a contract that could be coming up. What can be done there to make our American friends aware that the CFL is maybe not the NFL, but it's a great game too?
Well, look, that's part of this marketable fan strategy, Bubba, that you've heard us talk about, It's about reaching into those large communities of football fans in the U.S., especially those that are big college football fans, and making a connection to the players in our league that played U.S. college football. So today we have approximately half of our players are Americans that played U.S. college football. We want to connect those fans to their fan bases back home. And then about 20% of our Canadian players played U.S. college football. We want to connect those players to their large fan bases back home. And then for our U Sports players, we want to connect them to their large fan bases in their U Sports communities. And that's why the marketable fan strategy is so important. That's why the partnership with Genius Sports is so important. It's why that entire strategy is so important, because it's about using the power of the internet. It's about using the power of the opportunities for that online connection to create these customized experiences for fans. So somebody that wants to see more of Zach Collaros, we need to be able to get them Zach Collaros, information. We need to make sure that we're not just sending out a generic newsletter, but rather almost a newsletter specifically designed for what that fan is interested in. That's what's in front of us today. That's the opportunity.
You just brought up the name that I think is a name that so many people have talked about. And I'll be honest with you, Randy, a lot of people have come up to me and said, what is Genius Sports? And I have tried to answer the question, but I think I would rather hear it from you. What and who are Genius Sports?
Yeah, they're one of the world's largest sports marketing and technology firms, one of the world's biggest. In fact, probably one of the top two in the world. They have a technology capability that is going to help to activate our marketing strategy. So, the old marketing would have been a billboard or a one-page ad in a newspaper. Today, it's about content. Today, it's about accessing football fans using the power of the internet and being able to connect those fans to the content that they want to see. It's about customization of that content. So as I said, it's Zach Collaros and maybe the Cincinnati Bearcats alumni that would be very interested to know that their alumnus has now won our MOP 2 years in a row. Right. It's telling his story that way. It's about engaging in this new world of sports wagering. And, we never want a CFL fan to bet their rent or mortgage money. But boy, we'd like a lot of people to put a $10 bet on a game just so they can feel that real strong connection to the action that's going on the field. That's what Genius is. It's all of those things. And they're now helping us to build a technology platform that is going to enable us to build this gigantic ecosystem of fans that we can deliver content and action to in the way those fans want.
You talk about quarterbacks, and I think it's fair to say that he wasn't the only reason, but Nathan Rourke was somewhat responsible, along with the great, and at least I would say improved ownership for the BC Lions and improving the product in that market and the fan response and showing up to the field. Now, quarterbacks, it seems like there were a dime a dozen in the Canadian Football League. And I've heard this from some fans that they feel like, other than Nathan Rourke and Zach Collaros, who are the quarterbacks in the league? Is there anything the league can do to help to develop quarterbacks, maybe at the Canadian level, entice them from America to come up to this game so that, hey, I think you might have played on a team where Damon Allen and Matt Dunnigan were on the same team. Amazingly, Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Is there anything that can be done there?
Well, in fact, I played against in the '87 Grey Cup, Toronto against Edmonton. They had Damon, Matt, and Tracy Ham all on the same team. That's a pretty good roster of quarterbacks. No, look, I think this is one of the things we're going to talk about at our winter meetings with our coaches and GMs and presidents. Are there strategies that we can employ that will help us to attract talent? But Bubba, I actually think we got to step back. And we got to appreciate the fact that we got some pretty talented guys playing our game up here right now. And again, I mentioned Zach Collaros, two-time MOP, and what he's accomplished and what And of course, what happened in BC with Nathan Rourke, which was just exceptional. I was also at the Vanier Cup this weekend, and I got a chance to see two pretty good football teams and two pretty good quarterbacks, and it was impressive. Look, I will say this. I think the quality of athletes has never been better. I think the quality of our Canadian talent has never been better, and it just keeps getting better and better and better year after year. And I think we're at the beginning of a new beginning for our sport, because these young men that are playing, they're so well trained, and the facilities are better. Bubba, one of the things it takes to get great at anything is practice. And, go back to my era, I think we were perhaps a little behind in terms of facilities and training capabilities. Today, our coaches, the Canadian ecosystem are, it's as sophisticated as anywhere in the world. And I think we're seeing that in all sports, frankly. Canadians are competing everywhere because first of all, they're great athletes. And secondly, the training and coaching is just that good. So, look, I think we have to look at it. But I think we should step back, and we got to say we've got, perhaps this is the best generation of athletes we've ever seen, and it's just going to get better from here.
And, to that point, it's interesting. I've heard the likes of Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr. We all do sort of wax poetic about, the teams of our youth, if we could put it that way, and the game of our youth, and that it was so great. Yet those athletes who were superstars, all-stars, Hall of Famers, they all say the game is better and faster and tougher now than it ever was. So I guess that rules to your point.
Yeah, I think so. Look, it's always, it can be nostalgic, because the thing is, there's a lot of history behind it. So you can always remember a great quarterback from years gone by. And that's decades worth of history. In the moment, you're comparing one person or one moment in time against thousands of moments in time going backward. It's not a fair fight, right?
Right.
But today, these young men that play in our league, playing our game, are remarkably good athletes. And, by the way, if you go through every generation of our league, you will have found a time when a team didn't have a settled quarterback. I mean, I go through my own history with this league, which goes back a long time. There wasn't, not every team had a settled quarterback. And so back then they were worried about quarterbacking, just as some teams are worried about it today and some fans are worried about it today. But again, Bubba, I think we're going to talk about it as a league. We'll talk about it with the presidents, GMs, and coaches, and see if there are some developmental or strategic opportunities for us. But for me, you got to do that. But you also got to take a moment to be so proud of the young men that play our game today, and proud of the way they're coached, because not only are our athletes phenomenal, our coaches and football operation talent, our doctors are the best doctors in Canada, our therapists are the best therapists in Canada, our strength and conditioning coaches are the best strength and conditioning people in the world. And I think everywhere we turn, we're just surrounded by remarkably good people.
We talk about players, the improvement there. We talk about the improvement in the game itself. And I'll frame it up this way. The World Cup is on right now. I know the NFL season is still in its midst right now, kind of getting to that climax right now. And there seems to be, and I'm taking this towards the fans here, there's a passion. And I know the World Cup comes only every 4 years, but there's this inane passion for the actual product of soccer, which isn't even really a big sport in this country. I'll ask you this. How do you get this for the CFL? How do you get the same passion for CFL fans to brag about their game and be excited about their game?
Well, Bubba, I actually think they do. I mean, just coming from Regina and Grey Cup, where you bump into thousands of fans, I see that amazing passion. When I come to Tim Hortons Field, and I'm surrounded by Ticats fans, I see and feel that passion all the time. Actually, Bubba, sometimes I think one of our challenges is we're just a little too Canadian. We're just a little too humble, and we are passionate. We have people in this country have an amazing love of our league, and they love everything we stand for. And I think sometimes we underestimate our own passion for this game. Look, do we have room to grow? Absolutely. That's what these strategies I referred to earlier are all about. But do we have that same spark and that same fire in our bellies as other leagues and other countries do? You bet we do. And I think, again, from my vantage point, I think what we got to do is step back and celebrate our victories, celebrate what makes us so special, and all the reasons we have to be proud. And then, okay, let's do it. Let's do even more of that. But I don't think we're second to anyone. Bubba, if you want the punchline, we're not second to anyone. I think the CFL fans, CFL players, and our game, funnest, fastest, most entertaining brand of football in the world, we're second to none.
My father brought me to Argonaut games. I was actually more of an Argonaut fan before Ticat fan, believe it or not.
Bubba, right? You're treading in some
I know. Not a lot of people know that, but that's the truth. But that's how I got into the game, right? But that's as a young guy, right? How do we continue to express this type of passion and excitement for the younger audience?
Yeah, and Bubba, I think, again, it goes back to this strategy, the marketable fan strategy. Look, what we know today is that people consume entertainment differently. Look, I was talking about this at Grey Cup when I was a kid, one point we had one TV, and it was in the family room. And if you wanted to watch it, you had to watch what my dad watched. So my dad wanted to watch football. So we all watched football together. There was no choice. There wasn't going another room and watching what you wanted. I certainly didn't have one of these where I could watch whatever I wanted. So today it's about connecting with fans the way they want us to connect with them. It's about creating content that's going to be appealing to fans. So, we've got several efforts underway, like the QEW series, several efforts today to deal with the storytelling, because the storytelling is going to help to create another attraction to our game. But you really have to customize the experience, again, because my dad wanted to watch football. We watched it together. We grew up watching football together as a family. Well, today you've got to be more customized to make sure that young fan who may be just using their personal device to watch content, you got to reach them. So you have to have content that's appealing to your older, mature fan base who have been with us for decades. And you got to have content that's going to be appealing to this young fan base who can get whatever they want whenever they want it. And we have to compete in that world.
Is that something you have to press the individual teams on as well, too?
Well, I think, Bubba, the good news is I don't have to press anyone because our teams are remarkable at this. You don't have to look any further than the Ticats. What they're doing, their focus on content, their focus on storytelling. Scott Mitchell and Matt were big drivers of that QEW series. That storytelling. Our teams are so engaged in this that there's no pushing them. They're in a way, the beauty is they're pushing us. They're pushing the league to do more of this kind of work. So it's a real collaboration. And again, one that we can be remarkably proud of.
During your State of the Union, I believe it was with the fans, someone had asked you about how long you're going to hang around this league. And I think your answer was, as long as the Board of Governors will keep me. You're more than willing to commit yourself to being the commissioner of the Canadian Football League. With that in mind, and I think you can look at your entire reign here. What's the biggest surprise that you've experienced during your term?
Well, Bubba, it's such a different job than anything I've done in the past. So, pretty much all the senior jobs I've had are what I would call command and control, right? You have authority as the chief executive, and you exercise that responsibility that goes with that authority. This is more of a collaboration. You can't think about this the way you think about running a traditional business, because that in some ways is easier. This is what I would call advanced citizenship. You have to want it bad because it puts up a fight, right? It's about that collaboration. It's finding, you're never going to get all 9 teams to want to do the same thing. How do you find momentum around important initiatives? So that means taking 2 or 3 or 4 and sometimes 10 extra steps to make sure that you're bringing your partners along. It's a challenging role. It just happens to be in a business that I've loved my entire life. And as I said at the fan state of the CFL, look, I serve at the pleasure of the governors. And as long as they want me, and as long as they feel I'm delivering value, I'd be honored to stay in the role. Bubba, at the bottom, my wife tells me this all the time. You're not going to be the commissioner of the CFL forever. So at some point, it's going to be somebody else's turn. What you want to do is you want to work as hard and tirelessly as you can, and you want to give it to the next person better than the shape you found it in when you took the job. And that's what I think about. I think about my responsibility to make it better every day, to make it stronger every day, because at some point it will be time to turn the reins over to somebody else. And you want to make sure that that person has a stronger, better business and one with a brighter future than the one that I inherited. And I think that if we all think that way, then the future is truly bright.
Ticats head coach and president Orlando Steinauer always continually says, and whether it's to me or in the media room, we're constantly evaluating, Bubs. We're constantly evaluating. Can you evaluate yourself?
Yeah, I do. I think about that a lot. I think about my own journey and what I've learned and the way I thought I was going to do this job and how I do it now. Areas where I would have done it differently. What did I learn from it? How would I, if I'm approached that type of scenario again, how would I do it differently? What are the mistakes I made? And trying not to make the same mistakes over and over again. Those are things I think about all the time. Look, Bubba, the truth is I am very proud of a lot of the things that we've accomplished over these past 5 years. It's, there's been challenges, the Montreal situation, the fact that we saved that franchise. And Montreal had a very good year on the field and a much better year in the business. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that we got through the COVID crisis, one that had a unique set of challenges. I'm proud of that. We have revenue sharing. I'm proud of that. We have a 7-year CBA, a partnership with the players, and a better relationship with the players. I'm proud of that. Those are all things and many others that I find those are my successes. But boy, if you want to sit down over a cold drink, I can tell you about some of the things where I go, wow, I didn't do as well as I wish I would have. And you have to you have to learn from those moments. And then you have to commit to engaging that learning in an exercise of not making those same mistakes again.
Is there something out there that I think of this. David Stern, God rest his soul, of the NBA, said that one of the things that really bothered him is that he allowed the Vancouver Grizzlies to leave Vancouver for Memphis. And that kept him up at night, and something that he wishes he could have changed. What is the one thing? I mean, as you said, there's a couple of them, but what is the one thing that you're like, you know what? Could have done better in that one.
Yeah, Bubba, I think when I write my memoirs, I'll deal with that. The one or two things. I think perhaps the issue today is that I'm so in this business every day that I haven't. I don't know that I've been able to distill it down to one thing. I guess on reflection, at some point, I'll say, boy, that was the moment that I felt. Of all the things I could have changed, I would have changed that. I don't have that. I don't have that in my hip pocket today, and I'm quite sure I'll bump into a fan or two that'll be willing to share the things that they thought I could have done better, Bubba. And you know what? For better or for worse, those are interesting moments, right? When you're because one of the other things that makes this job different is just how public it is, right? So most of my career, you do your job, you kind of do it almost in anonymity, because you're just not that visible to the public. This one is highly visible, and so that that's wonderful, and I love talking to our fans. But occasionally I get a little coaching, and you have to embrace it.
I'm sure you get some coaching from the media as well too.
Occasionally, yeah. There's the odd moment, Bubba. You've nailed it.
The Grey Cup is back to Hamilton in the Steel City in 2023. And, due to the pandemic, I always say the 2021 game that was held in Hamilton was kind of like a regular season game on steroids because there were so many limitations. And it still went off with a great game. And a lot of people walked out of their, Tim Hortons field hoping for a Cat win, but it was a great product. What is your expectation for this game in 2023?
Well, first of all, I think the entire league are looking forward to coming back to Hamilton in in an environment where the Ticats can put on a full show and act, all the activations that they are planning. We're all really looking forward to that. We're looking forward to a big, beautiful festival in the city of Hamilton. Bubba, you live there. You understand and experience Hamilton every day. But for an outsider, Hamilton is going through its own renaissance, and the restaurant scene. There's just so many amazing restaurateurs who have come to Hamilton now, and if you're like me, and I think you are kind of like me, you haven't passed up on too many meals over the course of time. Hamilton is a destination for a foodie, and I think that's exciting. But Hamilton, the people in Hamilton, that warmth and friendliness, that's that feeling that you're going home, and the passion they have for the CFL in Hamilton, which is unmatched anywhere. That, I think, is what people want to come. They didn't get that. They didn't get to feel that necessarily in 21 because of all the restrictions. But I think they're looking forward to feeling that in 2023 with the full-blown festival and all that Hamilton has to offer.
Because it sounds like, to get the game, when you awarded the game to Hamilton originally, it'd sound like, I haven't seen all of it, but I've seen some of it. It looks pretty spectacular. And Tim Hortons Field will not be recognizable from what I see.
Yeah, no, they have a big plan. Look, one of the things there's many things I think you can be proud of if you're a Ticat fan, and you can certainly be proud of them if you're in this league and watching what they've done, what Bob Young and Scott and Matt and the team have done, and Coach Steinauer. Look, I think they're big thinkers. This is, again, one of the things I enjoy about them is they're always pushing the envelope. They embrace the opportunity to take the Grey Cup to the next level and then pass that Grey Cup to the next team with a responsibility to take it to the next level again. I think what they're going to do is they were watching, that was a league run event in 21. They watched what just happened in Regina in 22. And Hamilton's going to plan on delivering something truly spectacular and special in 23. And you know what? Then they're going to turn the game over to BC and say, top that, because that's going to be special. And again, I think you have to that's a real credit to Bob and Scott and Matt and Coach Steinauer and the entire organization, because they have embraced the opportunity to take the league to a better future. And I expect the Grey Cup will symbolize that passion they have for the CFL and for the Grey Cup.
Get you out on this one here. The Grey Cup champions are the Toronto Argonauts. And that's a market that we have, as CFL fans, we have at times seen with unbelievable passion in the word. We've used that word tonight. And we've seen some times where we're wondering what's going on in a big city that's got more than 5 million people, why they can't fill BMO Field. Now that they've won the Grey Cup, and they've won 3 in the last decade, correct me if I'm wrong, how do they generate that into being the big driver like we see it is with the Raptors, the Blue Jays, and the Maple Leafs?
Yeah. Well, actually, Bubba, I think we're seeing it right now. And what we've been watching since the Grey Cup, we've been seeing the Argonauts and the Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment in some ways at their best. They're using their properties to profile and highlight this great victory. It's, that cup has been traveling around this beautiful, ecosystem called Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. That cup is going to hockey games and basketball games, and it's being profiled, and their athletes are being profiled. I think they are doing what they probably can do as well or better than anyone in the world of sports. We're seeing that effort that they're making to really celebrate this success. Look, clearly, what Mike Clemens has done, our beloved pinball, what has done building a great football product. I think we're going to expect that they're going to be a tough team in 2023, and they're going to just want to continue that momentum as an on-field juggernaut. And that's going to be combined with the effort they've been making off the field. They grew their season ticket base in 2022. They'll continue to have success in growing that business because they are a formidable organization with almost infinite capacity for strategy and execution. And I just expect it to get better and better in Toronto. And they will use this success. They will use this success to their great advantage.
Well, I certainly hope so too, and I think I'm interested. I think Ticat fans are interested in too, because I think we've always heard that a rivalry needs to be coming from both sides, and sometimes it seems like it's more the Tiger Cats more so than the Argonauts. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I've had a lot of Argo fans that have popped out of the woods and are chirping me pretty good about them winning the Grey Cup and the Tiger Cats not even being involved. So, yeah, let's hope that growth does continue.
Well, Bubba, I meet lots of people that want to chirp you. That's not an Argonaut fan issue. Listen, that's a long list, and I can send it over to you. So if you're wondering, but no, seriously, you know what? Listen, I think Bill Manning says this all the time, and I always reflect on it. Bill says Argo fans are just as passionate as any fans in the world of sports. We just want to grow the numbers. And I think Bill and his colleagues at Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment have a plan for that. And we're going to be looking forward to watching them execute and grow on the strength of one of the greatest Grey Cups of all time.
Well, Randy, it's been awesome for you to join us here on the Ticats Audio Network and talk about the great game, the Canadian Football League. I mean, free agency, I guess, is in February. I mean, do you even take a break? Like, will you settle down, go to the Bahamas for a couple of days and relax for a bit?
Well, we've got league meetings. We've got 3 sets of league meetings between now and the middle of December. So that's, it's a pretty busy time doing a lot of prep for those meetings. I'm hoping that after the league meetings are done in the middle of December, that we can all take a little bit of time, catch our breath, enjoy our families as everyone should during the holiday season, and be thankful for all the blessings that we all enjoy. And the fact that we all get to live in this amazing country, for me, that's one thing I want to always be thankful for, is that we get to live here in such an amazing country with so many amazing people. And then, you know what, we'll get through the holidays, hopefully having had some, time with family and friends, and then we'll get back at it in January, and it'll be busy. It'll be a busy January with winter meetings and player safety and health meetings, and then we're of course into football activities. So, there's a little bit of no rest for the wicked in this business, but it's a labor of love, and you get to be around something that for me, that I've been in love with since I was a 5-year-old in Winnipeg.
He is the commissioner of the Canadian Football League. Randy Ambrosie, thank you so much again for joining us. And you know what, best wishes to you and your family during the holiday season. And as you talk about getting ready to look forward to 2023, the Grey Cup and all that's involved, and of course, a great season that I'm sure is going to pan out. We look forward to what you've got all stirred up for us. Thank you again for joining us.
Bubba, thanks, and best wishes to you and your family as well.
The CFL This Week with Bubba O'Neil. Subscribe, like, and get the deepest takes on Canada's game every Monday.